Welcome to Unbreakable Latina. Hi guys, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. This is your host Melina. I hope you're having an amazing day, whatever day you're listening to this on, or if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. It's been such a beautiful month for me that I am so grateful for. Feliz Día de la Independencia Mexicana. Yesterday, I took my old car to the mechanic for the 558 millionth time. I picked it up last Saturday y luego I was happy to have it back, and then it started not working again. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do with it. So I'm trying to find out what's wrong with it. On my way to the mechanic, I saw a lot of people in horses because I live in the farm area of Riverside, and I was like, there has to be like a festival or something. And sure enough, there was. There was a parade that was happening. And I told my mom, like, we should go. But we went to eat breakfast. We dropped off the car. And she's like, yeah, let's go. So we went. And it was so nice. It reminded me of cuando íbamos a Mexico. You know how in Mexico they have the parades? And la banda tocaba por la calle y toda la gente iba a la iglesia, and it just brought back a lot of memories. And I was like, wow, like it feels like I am in Mexico. But I was so grateful that I was able to see this. I mean, I hadn't seen it advertised or anything, but we went. Había banda, había caballos, había charros. You guys know that I am a sucker for charros. They're so handsome, most of them, but yeah, it was just really nice. Había like all kinds of beautiful horses and just bandas, people singing, people with the Mexican flag. And I wasn't dressed for it. Like, andaba toda fodonguilla with my Unbreakable Latina sweater, and I didn't even do my hair or anything because I was just running errands. And it was just so nice to see, like, just proud to be a Mexicana, you know? And I hope you guys were celebrating this weekend. Like, I really want to go to Mexico City for El Grito because it looks so cool, but also so crowded and scary. I have PTSD from the time that I went to the Chivas versus America game at Estadio, ¿cómo se llama el estadio in Mexico City? No me acuerdo. Anyways, yeah, like that's my dream to go one day, or to Vegas. They have a lot of cool events, and it was just nice to see like everybody celebrating in their cities. And although you can't be in Mexico, you can still celebrate, and proud to be a Mexicana. And I've been having such a good month. I started thinking about how 2 years ago is when I started talking to my sister about starting this podcast, and she kind of just gave me the push, and Angela also gave me the push and was like, just do it already. Like, you've been talking about it for a while. If they wouldn't have pushed me, would I have been here today? I don't know. They just told me, like, you can do this, and I believed in myself, and I started, like the branding and the logo, and like telling my sister what I wanted, and like coming up with a name. Like, I'll never forget. I wish I would have documented when the whole process started, because it was something cool. But at the time, like the only thing in my mind was starting the podcast. It wasn't like content creation or anything like that. Like, it took me a few months to like start creating content, like actual like videos and stuff. And even when I look back at the videos, I'm like, wow, I was so shy. And slowly but surely, I am coming out of my shell. I'm still a little shy girl. I know it's hard to believe, because since I go on this camera and like on YouTube and go on my stories, and you guys, I tell you all my traumas, my dating, my this, my that. It's hard to believe that I'm shy, but I am. And it's just been like, I don't know, like this whole month, everything's just making sense to me, everything I've been through. And just a lot of healing has happened this year. Like I talked about in the podcast with Angela, like I don't even recognize who I used to be. And it's a good thing though, like a lot of positive changes in my life. And I go to sleep happy, I wake up happy. Of course, I'm grumpy sometimes because I don't get enough sleep. But for the most part, like I've just been grateful for this journey. And I've done a couple collaborations this month. And one of them was with Amazon, with Prime Video, and I received this email when I was out with Angela one day, and it was about promoting a film called A Million Miles Away. And I just thought, like, oh, that sounds cool. And I remember seeing Jose Hernandez's name, and I was just like, oh, like I've heard this name before. So Jose was the first migrant farm worker to go to space, and I thought that was such a cool story. And I remember hearing his story through his daughter, who is also on social media, and she just talked about like her dad being an astronaut. Like, what a cool flex. Like, my dad went to space. Like, who can say that? And I think it's such a beautiful story. So of course right away I was like, yes, I'd love to collab with you guys. They invited me to the movie screening, so I went this week, and I just want to say thank you guys for like supporting and like tagging me and you guys watching it. It means a lot to me that you guys take my recommendations to heart. But it is a movie that everyone needs to watch. So if you haven't watched it, A Million Miles Away is available on Amazon Prime, and it came out this Friday, September 15th. So if you are wanting to do something after finishing this podcast, go watch it. Make sure that you watch it and you have tissues nearby along with snacks, because you're going to be crying, because I cried a lot. This movie just represented what a lot of us have been through, and just seeing someone that looks like me on the screen is so inspiring, and it makes me proud. It makes me proud because growing up, we didn't see that, right? And now we're starting to see like people that look like us, our cultura being truly shown in films, and not just like that. I don't know if you guys ever watch movies and you're like, that's not how our family is. Or they, the stereotypical like films. This is not one of those films. This film is so beautifully made. So let me tell you about my experience going to the screening. So I didn't know what to wear because you guys know me. I love my outfits, but I was like, I don't have anything to wear. And like finally, like I'm like, yes, I have something to wear. But, should I dress up? Should I dress down? But I'm like, you always, primero muerta que sencilla. But I always like to, overdress. It's my thing. No, it's better to be overdressed than underdressed, right? So anyways, I got a couple outfits. My sister and my brother were gonna go with me. My sister is the only one that ended up going because my brother got sick, and I was bummed because I really wanted to have like a sibling date. We haven't had one of those in a while, so I thought it would be a cool opportunity and for us to share this moment. So we were invited. I went to my sister's house early in the morning. I took the day off from my 8 to 5, and I went to my sister. She was working, and I was just like laying there, and I thought like, I'm gonna go look for an outfit because I have time. And right away, Forever 21 came through. Some of the stuff still good, because sometimes I go there and I get so disappointed of all the crop tops, and I'm like, I do not fit in this. But I found this beautiful dress, and I had my heels ready, some jewelry, and I just felt like really good in this dress. And I was like, finally, like it was meant to be for me to find it out here. I didn't find anything back here at home. I think Friday I had gone last Friday I had gone to the mall, no encontré nada, and I was just like, I just wear whatever I have in my closet. But one thing about me is that I like to estrenar ropa, and I don't spend a lot of money on clothes, but I like a new outfit. And sure, sometimes like I recycle outfits, but no, sometimes I recycle outfits all the time. But when it's like for something important, like a wedding or something, like I like to, something new. So this was my first movie screening, so I thought it'd be special to like dress up. And anyways, I got this dress, got back to my sister's, we got ready, we took off. And I was getting nervous because I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know. Like, yo me pongo nerviosa todavía when I go to events or like collaborations, or I second guess myself all the time. And it's part of the process. I'm not a natural, so I'm a little awkward sometimes. They had like a photo booth and I did it. And my sister's like, come on, move, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, you need to loosen up. And I was just like, robot. But then I took pictures with like the los modelos astronautas, y me tomé fotos, and we got our seats. And then before the film started, Alejandra Marquez, who is the director of the film, came up and gave a speech. And then she introduced Jose Hernandez, who came up and also gave a speech. And it was just cool to see. And like, I don't know, like I fangirled a little bit from my seat. And we watched the film all together. We're sitting there, and my sister and I somos chillonas. Like, I mean, you guys already know que yo soy chillona. Pero like, this movie had me crying so much. Like not sad tears, but just happy tears. And my sister and I were just like, and then I would look at her and she would look at me and like my eyelashes were about to come off, which they're about to come off right now. But it was a beautiful film, and I am not just saying because of my partnership. Like, I truly am like everybody and anybody needs to watch this film. It just depicts like the struggles of being a first generation and going to school and navigating spaces that you've never been in, and literally Jose navigating a space that nobody had been in. Get it? That was a corny joke. Anyways, I just felt truly inspired after the film. Like, everybody was like so happy, and there was like all the people that created the film were there. Was such a beautiful moment in my life that I'll never forget, or just being part of like history, right? And I'm grateful. Thank you, Amazon, for inviting me. Invite me to any other ones because I'm down. But I thought like I wanted to share it with you guys, like my, like me going to the premiere, the screening, and just tell you guys about how it went and how inspired I was. And I was like, how cool would it be to tie in what I learned from the movie? And in the film, so if you haven't watched the film, go watch it now before spoiler alert. It's not a big spoiler, but Jose's dad gives them the recipe to success with 5 ingredients. And I thought, like, why not tie the podcast into this? Like, talk about it, right? Because we all have dreams, and sometimes, like, imposter syndrome comes in. And I've dealt with imposter syndrome, like, always. I always have dealt with imposter syndrome. And I just, like, I second guess myself. It's funny because recently I was talking to somebody and he's like, I noticed that, I said something like, I think we were talking about, like, what is something that you would like to change about yourself? And I said, like, I think I second guess myself a lot. He's like, yeah, I've noticed that you do. And then hearing it from someone else is different than, like, hearing it from myself, like, it's reassuring that, yeah, you do second guess yourself. So I thought about it and I was like, yeah, like, why am I not more confident? But sometimes imposter syndrome just comes, and it's okay to have it, but like, you need to fight it. So before starting the podcast, I remember I would think, like, who's gonna listen to me? Like, who's gonna care? No one's gonna care what I have to say. And like, growing up, I always felt like la niña malcriada, ¿verdad? Siempre era la que questions everything, and why do we do this? And why do we do that? And in our culture, we have that callita te vas más bonita. And I was always the one that would be like, no, but why? And I always felt like la malcriada, la que no, irrespetuosa, because she always questions everything. But I was doing it because, like, I didn't believe in the stuff that my culture told me was right. And I'm not saying that our culture is bad, because I love our culture, but there's some things like breaking generational curses, right? And the whole reason that I created this podcast was to share, my thoughts. And then I found my people, las malcriadas, los malcriados, that question why things are done and are breaking generational curses. And that was my whole purpose. Like, I didn't know at the time that that's what I was doing. But as this podcast has grown, as I've connected with you guys, I realized that there's a lot of us with the same mindset. And because of social media, it's getting amplified more. And like, we're like, oh, okay, like, I don't feel alone when I feel like this. And it's just reassuring. And, it gives me a sense of community that there's other people out there that think like me, that are breaking curses, or, getting to places that our family has never been in, and just creating this new generational wealth, and just educating the community about mental health. And it was just inspiring. So my whole point in this, I don't even know where I was going with this, but that I was inspired by the story. Like, Jose was rejected from NASA 11 times, and he kept going. But he had, like, once he told everybody, like, his dream and like his family, was started supporting him, because for a while he was like just keeping this to himself, this dream, and like applying on his own, not telling everybody until his wife found out. And once she found out about it, she supported him. And sometimes I think that we don't want to tell people our dreams because we don't want people to laugh at us, okay? Like, I remember when I started the podcast, I was just like, when I tell people, like, even till this day, sometimes when my friends hype it up and like in front of people that I don't know, I'm like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. I'm not like, I have a podcast and I have this many listeners. Like, me da como, I get shy sometimes, and I'm like, why do I get shy? Like, I should be so proud of this podcast, because I am proud, pero como, I don't want to feel like I'm in your face about it, right? And sometimes when we have dreams, I think that we keep them to ourselves because we're afraid that other people are going to discourage us from achieving those dreams, or from, like going after them. And in Jose's story, once his wife got behind him, he had that support, and like, like she was just like, we're going to do whatever it takes for you to get there. And it takes a village. It takes a village sometimes to reach a dream. And once he opened up, he was, he achieved that dream because he had the support of his family, and family is so important. And I know not everybody has a supportive family, but if you do, like, you are so lucky. Like, I am lucky to have the people that I have in my life and my family that are supportive of this podcast, but you don't always have to have that. And I'm just saying that your dream, you should share it with people. And sometimes people are going to tell you like, oh, you can't do it, or blah, blah, blah. People are always going to have something to say. They're always going to have something to say. Like, if I would have listened to all the people that told me like, oh, you're going to start a podcast, just another podcast, like there's so many out there, then I would have never been here where I am today. And even though there's obstacles, like today, for example, that I had recorded everything and then I was having issues with my memory card, and then it just said memory card full, cleared my whole memory card, and here I am re-recording again. And I don't even remember what I said in the last episode that I had recorded already, but I was a little bummed. I went out and I told my mom, like, my whole podcast got deleted. And she's like, ¿por qué? My mom always tries to, like, find solutions for me. And I'm just like, that's the name of the game. Sometimes you're going to have obstacles. And Jose had a lot of obstacles and still, succeeded. The whole thing about having a dream is don't give up on yourself. Like, he never gave up on himself. He kept going. Even when he thought, like, no, this idea is stupid. Like, his wife was like, no, it's not dumb. Like, you want to do this. You've been telling me you wanted to do this. And I have felt in situations where I'm like, who am I kidding? Like, who am I? I'm just a girl that records a podcast in the room. But you know what? Like, there was a purpose for this podcast. And the purpose was to amplify voices and to talk about things in our culture that people don't usually talk about. And vida malcriada que me decían que era. And you know what? This malcriada is really proud of herself, because if I would have listened, I wouldn't be where I am today. So here are the 5 ingredients that Jose's dad told him that he needed for success. Number 1, define your purpose in life. Number 2, recognize how far you are. Number 3, buy yourself a roadmap so you know how to get there. Number 4, prepare yourself according to the challenge. Number 5, work hard. And at first when he said that, like, I was just like, wow, like, that's a pretty simple recipe. But you know what? That recipe took a long time for him to get there. And I'm just saying that it's never too late to go after your dreams. And even when you feel that imposter syndrome, like second guessing yourself, it's okay to have that. It's okay to second guess yourself. It's normal. But don't let imposter syndrome stop you from achieving those dreams that you have, because so many of us have let that imposter syndrome take over. Like, I let it take over for a long time, where I was just like, no, like, I don't belong in a podcast. Who do I think I am? I don't belong on social media. I don't do this. ¿Qué va a decir la gente? I know you guys like... Parezco disco rayado because I always say que va a decir la gente, but you always like think of what other people are going to think. And one thing I've learned is that, screw what people think. We only have one life to live. People are always going to judge you. People are always going to have something to say. I was sharing with somebody the other day that I get like hate comments of me speaking English and Spanish together. Que ridícula te ves. If I mispronounce a word, people will DM me if they don't like what I'm wearing, if they think that the episode was dumb. Like, I get hate all the time, and I just block those people. I block them all the time. Like, my list for blocking is crazy. But when you have a dream, go for it. Don't care what people have to say. We only have one life to live. If you watched the film, I'm sure you were inspired to just like keep going and just like seeing how, it's important for us in our culture to be in places that our family has never been in. And like in Jose's story, he went through so much, but he always had the support of his family. And he's lucky, and I'm lucky to have that. I know not everybody has that, but it takes more than a village to reach your dreams sometimes. Like, you need help from others. It's okay to ask for help. I think that we grow up like thinking that asking for help is weak, and it's not. It's not. When you need help, reach out to your friends. When I started the podcast, I needed help with audio and the video and everything. My brother's my electronics guy. My sister's like my marketing girl. And like just connecting with other people and asking for help. It's okay to ask for help. Like, success doesn't come overnight. It doesn't come from one day to the other. It comes with working hard, knowing where you want to get to. And I think that the 5-ingredient recipe is such a good recipe that Jose's dad told him, because it's true. You have to define your purpose in life. You have to recognize how far you've come, and you have to do a roadmap and achieve those things that you need to get to where the ultimate goal is. And in the film, another thing that I loved was just watching how Jose felt all this pressure, right? His family gave up so much for him to have his degree and to become an engineer. And his dad would always tell him, like, we gave up everything for you. And I know that pressure from our family sometimes, like, I've talked about it before, where, like, if you went to school for a certain thing and you graduated from college, you get that dream job that you always thought about. And then you decide, like, whoa, I don't like this. And then there's families out there that are like, fuiste a la escuela y vas a trabajar aquí. O fuiste a la escuela y no estás haciendo lo que estudiaste. Todo ese dinero y los sacrificios, like all the sacrifices we did for you and everything. And that pressure sometimes keeps us in these jobs that are soul sucking. Or like, it stops us from achieving those dreams that we have. And you know what? Like, although, like, I appreciate all the sacrifices that my family did, and I went to school, and, like, even though it was very hard for me, or it was very difficult for me, like, I am so proud of how far I've come. But if I am not happy in the career choice that I had, I'm gonna change it. Like, Jose became an engineer, and, he got to where he wanted to, but there was more that he wanted to. He could have settled there. You could settle. Anybody can settle. But the moment that you decide that settling is not enough for you and that you have bigger dreams, just do it. Do it. What are you waiting for? So if you have a dream of doing something, like, I know a lot of people always tell me, like, oh, I want to start a podcast. Start it. Look at me. Like, I started, I am still in the room that I started. I am so proud of doing a podcast in my room, and how many listeners it reaches, and how my voice is annoying. No, I'm just kidding. How my voice is amplified. But like, you have to stop getting in the way of yourself. You have to stop letting imposter syndrome get to you. So if you haven't watched this movie, I suggest you watch it, and you get inspired by Jose's story. You get inspired by my story, that, like, nothing you want comes easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication. There's going to be some times when you want to give up, and there's going to be some times you're like, why am I even doing this? But just know that once you reach that dream, it is so rewarding. The thing that I truly believe is in timing. And like in Jose's story, he was rejected 11 times. And even though it sucked from what we saw in the story, like, he wasn't ready yet until that last time when he finally got that acceptance letter. And just know that sometimes rejection is redirection. And I've read that quote so many times. So, todo pasa por una razón. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a true believer. My little sister and I were talking, like, we had this deep talk on the way to the film, and I was just telling her, like, sometimes you think, like, God, that sucks. Like, I was rejected for this, and, like, I wish I could have got that. And then years later, like, something happens in your life and you're like, that's why I didn't get that. It all makes sense. And sometimes in the moment, it's hard to believe that something you really want is not happening, but life is preparing you for the right moment. And just know, like, don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams, and don't let imposter syndrome get in the way. We all have to deal with imposter syndrome. It's natural, but I think it's healthy to have doubts in yourself because it pushes you to work harder, to never give up, and just keep going. So I hope what I said made sense. I was all over the place, but I'm just like, there's so much in my brain right now. It's funny because before I started recording, I was watching this video. If you don't follow Yvonne Armenta, she's a public speaker, and she like teaches people how to public speak. And she was talking about how her brain just like, she's doing one thing and then she starts doing something else and she starts doing something else. And I think like I have that same issue where like I'll like this morning I woke up and I'm like, oh, I need to put away my laundry, I need to fold clothes, I need to like rearrange my drawers. So I did everything. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I left this in the kitchen. And then I'm like, oh, and then I have to put this, and then I have to do this. And my mind is just multitasking at all times. And I feel like I have a bunch of tabs open. So I just feel so inspired right now. And like, I just want everybody to believe in themselves. And if you have a dream, don't be afraid to go after it. I know that we have this pressure, like being a first generation, going to college and getting this career that your parents wanted you to get. And then you get there and you hate it. And now you want to change it because you want to do like, I don't know, you want to be a singer or something. And then your family's like, oh, you went to school to be a singer? But you know what? We only have one life to live, and you got to live it to the fullest. Live life to the fullest. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to have an episode for you guys this week since I'm leaving to Chicago. And I really hope I do. Pero si no, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'll see you guys. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. I'll tell you guys all about my trips. If you have any recommendations for Chicago, please let me know. Send me a DM, send me an email. I appreciate you guys. Hope you have an amazing week. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow me at Unbreakable Latina on TikTok and Instagram. And don't forget to go after your dreams. Don't forget to watch the film because you're trying to get inspiration. That's where you go. And have an amazing week. I'll talk to you guys soon. Talk to you later. Bye.